Well, hello to all of my favorite strangers. I am Maggie Slighte. I am the host and creator of Slightly Maggie, which is not only a podcast, it is also a vlog. So if I've talked about something on my podcast that you would like to see or you want to see me talk to you, hop on over to YouTube and you'll find me over there. I wanted to do it this way so that there was enough accessibility to everybody who wanted it. I want to make sure that we have captions, and I'm not always the best at making sure that there's a transcript for the podcast. So I figured I'd cheat and do it the YouTube way. So if you want to read my lips, you can hop on over to YouTube, or if you want the YouTube supplied captions, I may or may not have had time to correct them. That is something that is quite tedious, I will say. After having done it for a couple of the episodes for Strangers No More, it became very difficult for me with my difficulty with my hands to keep doing that. But enough of that. We will go into today's episode. Today is Martin Luther King Day. Today is Monday, January 17th. Sorry about that. I had a bit of phlegm in my throat. So I got my COVID vaccine, my first one. I was finally cleared to get that. It had been quite a long roundabout time to try to get my COVID vaccine because of all of my conditions. It wasn't just the Ehlers-Danlos and all of the accompanying stuff, but with mast cell activation syndrome and those kind of things. But it was also the fact that I have had such a catastrophic reaction to fluoroquinone antibiotics. It was the fluoroquinone antibiotics that changed the structure of my tendons, and that's what eventually put me in a wheelchair after several injuries. When I began using my power chair, I began having fewer less injuries. If I actually stayed put, I'd probably have no injuries, but I don't do that well. Staying put is something that I will probably never do well. And if you're watching the YouTube part of this, you'll see that my background is full of boxes, including one box that is absolutely stuffed full of Christmas presents, because I haven't had the opportunity to have Christmas yet with my daughter's family and the grandkids, and nor have I had a chance to deliver my grandson's Christmas present. So, and the moving boxes are because I was given an opportunity to move to Shelton to an income-reduced property, but when I went to visit there, it smelled like mold. It was awful. That was the Creekside Apartments down in Shelton, and that was through an N95 mask that I could smell the mold. It was just awful. So what we ended up doing was telling them that I couldn't move, but most of my stuff is still in boxes that was packed. So, it is what it is. Hopefully, maybe I could move to someplace that's income adjusted, and yeah, I'm having a bit of a difficulty right now, but that's for another time. So what happened this week, I got the COVID shot. It's been about 10 days ago now. And at first, I had reactions, nightmares, headaches, really bad nightmares, very odd, horrible nightmares. And then I also had a clogged lymph gland on my neck that was just swollen, and it took some decongestant and stuff to get through that. But no fevers. So that was my first shot. My second one is scheduled for the 29th, so we'll see how I do with that. But I did pre-medicate with Tylenol and a Benadryl, and I intend on doing that with the second shot as well. So, and that was the idea of the Tylenol was from my cardiologist, which she said that she did that as well. So, and that helps. I believe it helped. If that's what did it, hey, great. So, another thing that happened this last week is I picked up my custom compression socks. Now, I went to a place in town, and I'm going to call it a boutique because, oh heavens to Betsy, I got the approval for it from Medicaid, and I jumped out of my seat. It literally said it was over $900. They billed Medicaid over $900 for 2 pair of custom compression socks. These are knee highs. These are only knee highs. These aren't, so that comes out to more than $200 per sock for these custom compression socks. It's just ludicrous. But we picked those up. However, the day before we picked those up Tuesday. The day before we picked those up, I got a phone call from Hanger Clinic. I was scheduled to pick up my knee braces on Wednesday. They still have not received any approval from insurance, from Medicaid, for my leg braces. And I can tell because I went into the notes for the doctor that prescribed them. I can see that her notes have changed and that she's gotten a little bit more in depth about why I need them and why I need those custom ones. So I can tell that her notes were asked for. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But what they did when they postponed this time is they said that will call me when they receive them. And I think that is much better than just saying, every 2 or 3 weeks, just schedule me an appointment. No, let's just not do that. So a fun thing that happened this week is that I devised a recipe for fried mushrooms. Fried mushrooms have been something that I have really enjoyed at this one diner in town. It used to be called the Ribeye Diner, and now it's East Olympia something, East Side something. But they used to have, I haven't been there in years, but my grandparents used to take me there. And they had a very thinly battered mushroom, fried mushroom, that I absolutely loved. And, you get a side of them. So I recently devised the recipe that just... The fun of living with dogs after being so rudely interrupted. Anyway, so I came up with a recipe that tastes just like the fried mushrooms at the Ribeye Diner. And it involves... Well, I had to quarter my mushrooms because I got them from Costco and they were giant. And I did a TikTok. I did a couple of TikToks about how I air fried them. But I did discover that if they're pan fried in a little bit of oil, about an inch of oil, or deep fried, they do turn out a lot crispier. And so, you can air fry it though, and they did taste really good either way. But I do like them crispy, so I'm kind of torn there. But it just involves wiping off the mushrooms with a clean cloth. You don't wash mushrooms in water. We don't do that because mushrooms are very porous. We don't ever want to do that. But we wipe off the mushrooms with a clean cloth, and we make sure that they're dry. If they're huge, like the Costco mushrooms that I had, you quarter them. And then you put them in an egg wash. So you have your egg with your water. So you dip them in egg wash and you kind of drain them out, make sure that there's not a lot of extra egg. And then you put them in a seasoned flour. Now you can season that flour with whatever. I just put salt, pepper, garlic, and a little dry mustard. I think I put, no, I just put pretty much garlic and a little dry mustard and salt, pepper. I had put a lot more in it, a lot other seasonings in it the first time, but there was something that I didn't get right, and so it tasted a little off. But I found if I kept the garlic, salt, and pepper, and the dry mustard, that it was a good seasoning level in the flour. And yeah, those seasonings are to taste because everybody's tastes are different. And then so I take the mushrooms from the egg, put it into the flour, and make sure that those are drained off of the flour, that we get any extra off of there. So it ends up being a very, very light batter. Flouring, I guess, not batter. And then if you're going to put them in the oil that's the hot oil, like 350, 360, in a pan, then you don't put any extra oil on the mushrooms. But if you're going to make them in an air fryer, then you're going to want to spray them with a spray oil. And, make sure they're covered on all sides. In air fryer, I would do 400 or 380 to 400 for 10 minutes. Turn them over, and then a couple more minutes. On the stove, you make sure your oil's around 360 and, fry them until they're golden brown. And they're just absolutely delicious. I like them with goop or tartar sauce. Goop is a condiment that we have here in Olympia that I happen to know how to make because the owner sent me the recipe and I feel privileged. But yeah, it's like a mayonnaise, mustard, relish type of a mixture. So I'm going to try to share one recipe with you guys every week. That is going to be part of the podcast. It's going to be part of the vlog because I love to cook. So I'm going to share one thing that I made with you every week. So that was fried mushrooms. Now, my caregiver Harper and I went down to the farmer's market Saturday, this last Saturday, which was a couple of days ago. That's why I didn't get this recorded on Saturday, because I was exhausted. It's cold down there. It's been cold the last couple of days here. It's been very foggy, so we haven't seen a lot of sun. Although the sun does seem to be coming in today, so maybe we'll get a little bit that's going to peek out. You can see there's the sun on the boxes back there. Anyway, so the farmers market in Olympia is only open on Saturdays from January through March. And on Saturday mornings, if you get there like at 10 o'clock, between 10 and 12, then you ask them for one of their hot drink coupons. You can get a free hot drink at one of 3 or 4 of the vendors out in the back. And that's a really nice way to start the day, to have like hot cider or hot coffee or whatever. And tea, they have lots of teas. I went for the cider because that's who I am. I love hot cider. I love cider. So the market was great. I picked up a bunch of pastries and some sourdough bread and some apples because I'm going to make some baked apples. Maybe that's what I'll share with you next week. Maybe I'll share the baked apples. Well, I also shared a couple of TikToks. Well, you'll have to go over to TikTok to see those. But I shared a couple of videos. I probably shouldn't have, but I'm deconstructed. Give me a wide berth. I have a lot of deconstructing to do, especially with the knowledge that I actually formed 2 separate altars just to manage the amount of cognitive dissonance that I was dealing with being queer and trying to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So there was so much cognitive dissonance that I dealt with that it just caused me to split even more, because that's how I manage things like that. That's how my brain manages it. So okay, well, we can have a person that believes that we can do that, and then well, yeah, things like that happen. So so we're deconstructing, and we're deconstructing a lot of our beliefs and where they came from and how they were formed, and we'll probably be deconstructing for many, many, many years. I posted a blog on maggieslight.com about kind of updates about what's going on with writing and such, and I will include a link on the vlog about it so that you've got that. But I think that's pretty much it for this week. I think this week is gone long enough. I think we're going to make these probably a bit longer than they were last year. But I want to have more than just my health and advocacy updates. I also want to include things like recipes, because this is Slightly Maggie, and Maggie has got a lot of parts, so I'm going to share them with you. I hope that your week ahead is full of love and light. Peace out.